Previously on Joyful Calamity.
So, Manhunt was a game that we used to play in the Boy Scouts. It was almost kind of like tag, almost, where you have two separate teams. It was like hide and seek tag almost. However, you had two teams. One team would stay inside for a certain period of time. The other team would go outside. Now, this has to be done outside, and this has to be done at night. No flashlights. Now, the point of the game is to get all the hiders into jail and get everybody captured. What wound up just happening was just everything just completely divulged into complete utter and chaos. And we come running out into the night, and it was 32 degrees outside. There was snow everywhere. All of a sudden, this one guy, Danny, we just hear, "Ah! Ah!" And we just go, what the hell was that? And we just see this little plump kid jump out of this frigid cold water, just go running into the woods, because I guess the entire time we were like letting everybody go and hide and camouflage themselves. It was probably about 5 minutes. I guess he immediately just ran into that river and just hid under the bridge. I'll never forget, he had shorts and a white t-shirt on and came back into the lodge because he almost had hypothermia.
This is Joyful Calamity!
All right, going 13 with this one. Welcome to the brand new episode of Joyful Calamity, formerly known as Achieving Failure Podcast. I'm your host, Chris, and this week I'm actually reading off a script because I just can't get this right. So what I wanted to do was just kind of give some new updates on what's been going on, because we've decided to swap to a whole new format and change names, because while we're having fun making new exciting episodes for everybody, it exactly was not really the direction we hoped to be going. With Joyful Calamity, we're going to continue bringing you fun, exciting adventures with guests, but we're also switching gears with Achieving Failure, which we will bring you more nostalgic events and products from yesteryear. Be sure to catch up on all the upcoming episodes, as they'll all be under the same YouTube page, but for those streaming our audio, our shows will be separated, but you can still find us on all the major names, including Spotify. This episode is a throwback to our previous episode of Manhunt. As being the horrible guest that I've been, I've never actually given a proper intro. So I've just thrown everybody into just a normal conversation. So this week, we're joined by my best friend Joey as we talk about playing Manhunt on the USS Massachusetts. This episode, we're going to be short, but we're creating more episodes. And then, as you can see, we have a new setup. We're kind of going for more of that professional look, but in the meantime, please excuse the terrible audio, the terrible setup. We were kind of learning as we were going, but we're still producing, got to make something. So before we start this episode, if you like what we're putting out, if you would please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and for those streaming, hit that follow button. And now, on to the episode.
Piggybacking off of Manhunt, we were on the USS Massachusetts at Fall River, Massachusetts. And it wound up being a overnight kind of camping trip. Like, we were fortunate enough to spend a night on the boat. The Girl Scouts were also there. So it kind of turned into this really cool, hey, we get to spend a night on the ship. And it kind of turned into a complete free-for-all. Because now, while the kids are playing Manhunt,
you got this decommissioned warship.
Yeah.
Full of a bunch of kids.
Yeah, so it's an overnight thing. So not only were half the kids playing Manhunt, but the other older half of the boys were running around with the older Girl Scouts. Mm-hmm. But not to distract from the story, the Manhunt story continues as far as the absolute insanity. And what wound up happening was, because this is a decommissioned warship after hours, it was kind of like there's no general public there, mm-hmm. and the entire boat is more or less fair game. Mm-hmm. So
perfect playground.
We were literally running around the entire deck of the ship, inside the ship, on top of the ship. And when I say on top of the ship, people were climbing on top of like the huge gun barrels, which I'll put a picture up. I mean, these things I was showing you earlier, these things had to be 20 feet off the ground. So
15, 20 feet.
these kids are like just scuttling towards the top of these gun barrels just to hide. And I mean, again, it's pitch black. You can't see anything because this game has to be played at night. So these kids are hiding on top of gun barrels, 15, 20 feet in the air. The parents are sleeping because, I mean, it's nighttime. The parents go to sleep. We would hide in the engine room. And when you go to a decommissioned warship, obviously they have ropes, they have plexiglass that kind of like stop the general public, but it's like, hey, well, that's whatever. That's just another, hey, if you want to find me, you kind of have to climb into. So now we're climbing into the mechanisms of this old decommissioned warship. And then there were some of the guys that were actually climbing like up the steam, not so much the steam pipes, but like the crow's nest. So now, not on top of these kids running around the ship, just making a ruckus, you got all these other teenage boys running around with these teenage girls, and now you have security chasing after the Boy Scouts playing Manhunt, who were hiding in the engine room. And
not only are you hiding from each other, you're hiding from security.
Yeah, now we're hiding from the adults. We're hiding from security. So I remember the next day we were told we were really not allowed to like leave the berthing or wherever we were camping the next night. I don't think we were allowed to come back anymore because we caused such problems.
Still, I mean, I think something like that to happen today, never.
Yeah.
Never
I mean,
happened.
It was super cool. I mean, I have countless stories of playing Manhunt that maybe one day I can come back and talk about, but it really, really brought it to another level of playing on a physical ship. It brought Manhunt to a whole nother level because, I mean, we're running through hallways. And I don't know if you've ever been on a boat, a small like cruiser kind of ship. Like, I mean, some of these entrances are small.
Yeah.
So when you're going fucking balls to the wall, all it takes is you clip your shoulder, you knock yourself out.
Yeah.
Again, it kind of rolls into the whole, I don't know how nobody died.
Or at least got hurt.
It was just, I don't know.
It's wild. I mean, when I was younger, I went aboard the Queen Mary. You know, that's a cruise ship. But they let you walk down into the engine room and stuff, and you really see how tight everything's built. And yeah, I couldn't imagine running through something like that